Hello, welcome to another week. This is the weekly energy update for May 2nd to May 8th. And we just are coming off the coattails of that eclipse that just occurred. So, in Taurus, and that beautiful new moon on Beltane, that was just absolutely lovely. We also had Venus move into Aries, and I feel like this eclipse cycle is really helping us hit the reset button. This is going to be a really long eclipse cycle. This happens every year. The eclipse cycle is going to be with us until October 22nd. And normally the eclipses have about a 6-month long effect bubble. And we did have our first Taurus eclipse a bit ago. So we might be still kind of like experiencing the same kind of themes as about from that last Taurus eclipse. So we have some interesting things going on this week, and we also have these disorienting shifts from the eclipse kind of happening. It was interesting. I actually was getting really positive messages and really positive downloads coming through during the eclipse, but I was noticing a lot of my clients feeling still very uprooted and very upset through this eclipse. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that eclipse energy is always going to be an interfering energy. So it's almost like when you're used to something bad happening all the time and then something good happens, it's kind of still a shock to your nervous system. And I think that that's what a lot of people might be experiencing, especially those who have experienced trauma and major hardships in their lives. This energy could be really flipping the script and bringing in some really positive, some things and some really great new ventures. And I think it kind of has our nervous system a little bit shook, a little bit shocked, because of the fact that we may be not used to these good things happening, especially, the past 2 years have been pretty traumatic in their own. So it's kind of like, how can we now accept this good energy coming through from this eclipse, because it was quite a positive eclipse energy, and how can we accept that we need to hit the reset button, flip the breaker, turn the lights on and off a couple of times, and just make sure everything's still working and we're still okay without, with that reset happening. So yes, this eclipse may be still having you feeling a little bit disoriented this week and a little bit shaken up, but I really think that it's going to be for the best, and I genuinely think that it's going to make things, this next chapter, just a bit easier and a bit lighter, and really bring in some beautiful, positive, new, creative endeavors for you. Because of that Venus moving into Aries, now is the time to act on your love. Where are your passions? Where is your heart really leading you to, and how can you act on that energy now? Aries doesn't want to wait. It's very impatient. It wants to keep moving. It wants to get going. And it doesn't like to dilly-dally with the finite details of things. It wants what it wants, and it wants it now. So with Venus in Aries, Venus ruling all things beautiful, love, but also finances and, our day-to-day relationship energy, it's going to be really important that we focus on how can bringing that energy into the now, and how can we really bring in love and happiness and perhaps even more money right now. So with Venus in Aries, think about, short-term things. Think about things that can make you feel good this week. Think about how to get your creative juices flowing. What is it that your heart wants, and what can you do this week? Take it in small bites. Don't try to chew the whole thing at once, but take little bites of what can bring you into that love space this week. So we also have Pluto retrograde in Capricorn, and that is going to be happening until October 8th. This happens for 5 months every year. Pluto goes retrograde. So this is a really great time too to really just let go of anything that's been controlling you too much, or anything that has been exerting a lot of excessive power over you, or anyone that has been doing that to you. It's time to let those things go and move forward from them, especially with this Venus in Aries. I think that this will really help give us the motivation to move away from any relationships that could potentially be quite toxic. And those relationships can be with our own eating habits, with our own exercise habits, with our own, relationships with friends. Maybe there's a friend that has just been trying to exert way too much control or power on you. Now is a really helpful energy to start to let go of those things and move forward from those things and find healthy outlets for them. So we also have Mercury gearing up to go retrograde next week, and I think that that's going to keep pushing this reset button. Keep just flipping that switch on and off, giving us a moment to just like really check in with the electrical currents that are happening in our lives. Mercury is going to be going retrograde in Gemini. So I feel like the electricity is just really high in the air right now, and is really just, it's almost like static energy and things really bringing us to life again. Again, hitting that reset button. What can we stop and what can we start? So now that I have these up on YouTube, I've got a little bit more time. So I did want to pull some tarot cards for this month, not month, I'm so sorry, this week, to see what the tarot has to say for our weekly energy outside of the astrology. Because honestly, oftentimes the tarot tells me something very different than what I'm getting astrologically. So I really love the two perspectives on energy. So let's see. Thank you, Spirit. What are the messages for the collective for the first week of May? Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Spirit. All right, we're already getting some cards. So we have the Two of Wands that came out first. The Two of Wands is definitely some portal energy, gateway energy. This is a card of travel, and we do have some Aries energy and Mars up here. So I think it's really important for us to start making decisions on how we can move forward. As we hit these reset buttons, and with Venus in Aries, it's time to start making our choices and time to start like really doing the things that we need to do to step forward into a new space and a new timeline. It definitely has been feeling like a whole new timeline is occurring, and I think that it's possible that we might be getting downloads from previous timelines as we move through this one as well. We also had the Five of Swords. So I see this a lot as that exerting power over one another. I think there might be a lot of that tension happening this week. And I think it's time to start really making choices of who you're trusting and how you're trusting them. There's something about the Five of Swords that talks about divine intervention in this deck, with the way that the planets, I don't know if you can see that, with the way the planets line up on his knuckles there. So there is a little bit of, it almost feels, I see it as perhaps you have been feeling like things have been really out to get you lately, and you've just kind of been feeling beaten down, and like there's just like not a lot of support in the universe. Like it's almost like, oh my god, like when will I get a break from all of this shit going on? And I think that dwelling in that space is just not beneficial anymore. It's time for us to really like sit up, pull ourselves up and start looking at the things that are around us, that are coming in and are being offered to us. The Four of Cups here is really just about being so busy dwelling on the negative that we can't see the positive. And I think that that's the script that's about to be flipped through this eclipse. I think that this is going to be a major time for us to really shift away from that scorpionic obsession with the darkness and with the negative, and move us into a place of Tauranian, Venusian happiness and peace and tranquility. So how can we move away from these pains, and how can we stop this narrative that bad shit is always going to happen? That is a narrative that needs to shift, it needs to end, and it is not the case any longer. I've been saying that for a long time, and that is a really hard thing for people who have experienced trauma to move forward from. That is very challenging and can take a lot of your time and energy. So it's important to just remind yourself this is a new space, a new timeline, and it's time to start focusing on something different. Focusing on moving away from these things that have been broken, these things that are, causing us harm, and really move into a new timeline where there is abundance. This week would be a great week to take it easy on yourself as we shift away from, away from this eclipse energy and kind of float downstream. So find yourself a little bit more solitude, I would say, and give yourself time and space to really reconsider the things in your life that make you happy and make you feel good, so that you can take that Venus and Aries energy and put it into what truly makes you feel good and what truly makes you feel alive and in love with life again. I hope this helps. I love you all so much, and have a lovely week.